The doctor is in on KPEL. Get well, Acadiana, with Dr. Kevin.
Welcome back to Get Well, Acadiana. Thank you so much for joining me on this fine Saturday morning. I'm so grateful all of you have decided to tune into the show this morning. You know, I want this show to be more than just something interesting to listen to on your Saturday morning. I want this to be the show that changes people's lives for the better. You know, this is the show that could change your health. And if you change your health, that changes your whole future. And for those of you just tuning in for the first time, my name is Dr. Kevin. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Bryant Wellness Institutes. We're Louisiana's most advanced functional medicine institutes, and that means that we use the latest technologies and techniques available anywhere in the world to treat today's most complex health problems without drugs or surgery. And we have a motto that's very important to us at Bryant Wellness, and that motto is to listen with concern and treat with compassion. And that's our promise to every single person that we come in contact with. And, you know, in my opinion, and yours probably too, that's something we could use a lot more of in healthcare in America, just to listen with concern and treat people with compassion. And, you know, the only solution to this healthcare disaster that we have in America is prevention and wellness. We could save this country literally billions of dollars if we would just prevent problems and get people well instead of what we're doing now. And unfortunately, no one's talking about that. And that's what this show is all about. And so I really appreciate all of you tuning in. I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Brandon Como. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's Saturday. It's the weekend. Can't be happier about that.
Yeah, I don't even know if you know this yet, but I'm doing a little 10-second thing on your show now, some kind of a little promotional sentence. For those of you that don't know Brandon, he has a show on weekdays at 4 o'clock called Offsides with Shannon Wilkerson. Man, I love the show. It's one of my favorite shows on KPEL. Well, next to this one, of course. But other than this show, it's my favorite show on KPEL.
Well, yeah, you have to like your own show the best.
Exactly.
No doubt.
And I want, I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's a little 10-second promotional sentence on your show talking about this show. So I'm glad to be moved over to your show.
Well, I'm excited about that, too. Because, again, from time to time, I'll mention Get Well Acadiana on Offsides and telling people, especially when we talk about medical topics.
Yeah.
And saying, look, you know, we have our own doctor that is here to be able to serve you and to be able to help you. And so I'm excited about the fact that they're going to be able to get that reminder every day, you know, letting them know, hey, look, you know, you've got a show that's dedicated to making you better, to helping you get well on Saturday mornings.
Good deal. I tell you, I'm really appreciate each and every listener out there to the show. It means so much to me when people care enough about their health to continue to study and learn and find ways to become healthy. You know, many times, you know, I do these community workshops a lot of times in the public, and this radio show might be listened to thousands of people, and we might have 40 or 50 people that actually care enough about their health to come and sit down and take an hour out of their life and try to do something different, and they take action to improve their health. And I always appreciate those people that are willing to do that so much. They decided to take just an hour out of their life to come try to find ways that they can be healthier and live longer. And that's an elite group of people. And I always appreciate the people that come to our workshops so much because they decided to take action to try to get healthier. I've got such an important topic today. Let's get right into it. And we're going to do a series on thyroid problems today. And there's so many people have such a misunderstanding about their thyroid and what it does and how it works. And here's the problem. Even if you don't know that you have thyroid problems, but you just aren't feeling your best, this might actually turn out to be the problem in the first place. And there's literally thousands of you out there that have been to the doctor and your doctor told you that your thyroid wasn't working and put you on medication. And there's so much more to it than that. Patients seem to think, well, my thyroid quit working, so I'm on Synthroid and everything's fine. Like we replaced that since it's not working. Everything is not fine. You have to find out why your thyroid quit working because it very well might be affecting other parts of your body as well. And especially if your thyroid is being attacked by your immune system in an autoimmune disease like Hashimoto's, 50% of the time, patients with one autoimmune disease, like where their thyroid's being attacked in Hashimoto's, in 50% of the time, the immune system has already started attacking other tissue as well. So they end up with a different autoimmune disease like lupus or rheumatoid or MS or something like that. So it's not good enough to just say, well, my thyroid quit working and I'm taking this medicine and I'm good for life. We need to find out what caused your organ to stop working, because whatever it was has never been fixed or addressed, and that's not okay. Guys, your thyroid doesn't just quit working for no reason. Your organs don't just go on vacation or go on strike and decide they're not going to work anymore. There has to be a reason why that's happening. If you have something so significant in your body that an organ stopped working, you're going to want to know where that's coming from and why. Wouldn't you want to dig deeper and find out why that's happening before it happens to a different organ? So we're going to get into all of the details on hormonal imbalance and thyroid problems and why that happens on the show today. And I'm hosting a workshop on natural solutions to thyroid disorders. It's going to be Thursday, August the 3rd. I'll be talking a little bit more about that later on in the show and inviting you to all that. But it's going to be at 7 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn, like always. But if you have thyroid problems of any kind, you need to find out what the underlying story is. And if you're listening to the show and you know someone that maybe you're a family member or a friend that has thyroid problems, call them and tell them to tune into the show, because I've got some very important information to address on thyroid. And you're going to see that there's really a lot more to this than we ever really thought. And you're going to want to know why your thyroid quit working, because other things could be taking place in your body that you're going to want to know about. And here's the other thing to consider. You may have been told your thyroid was okay. So like you say you were feeling sluggish and you went to the doctor, or you just wasn't feeling right, and you thought that might be causing your health problems, and your doctor told you, nope, your thyroid is fine. You may actually have something called subclinical thyroid disorder, which means it didn't fit into the box they used to label you with clinical thyroid problems. That means that it didn't fit their parameters to type into their computer to diagnose you with thyroid disorders. But many times we find that patients have subclinical thyroid problems. Symptoms of subclinical thyroid disorders are low energy, especially, this is the number one thing, if you wake up tired after adequate sleep, like you wake up and feel like, man, I could go right back to bed. Also, we find mood changes like depression, anxiety. All these things can be subclinical thyroid disorder. Even things like neck and arm pain or tingling down the arms. And the thyroid can actually radiate symptoms down into the arms just like a pinched nerve can. You can get weakness in the muscles and weight gain. Thyroid disorders can even have like a digestive component where it causes you digestive issues like bloating and constipation. It can also affect your heart and temperature regulation. So we see this a lot of times in people with AFib-like symptoms, or their heart races for no reason. It might even get labeled like anxiety. People that are cold all the time and have dry skin and brittle nails. So you go to the doctor and he does some blood work and he looks at your TSH levels. Now, TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. And first of all, that's only checking one out of about 12 parameters we look at to judge someone's thyroid function. Only checking TSH is only about 10% of what's actually going on. And many times, even when patients, their TSH is out of normal, it's not bad enough, and they're still told that their thyroid's not to blame. 90% of thyroid problems aren't from TSH anyway, being out of its normal parameters. So they're missing 90% of the thyroid problems. Listen, guys, medical treatment for thyroid problems has not advanced one bit since 1962. 1962, we had black and white televisions, and most cars didn't have air conditioners. So I think it's safe to say that it's time to revisit the ways that we look at thyroid and getting it to work better, and find out the true underlying cause of these thyroid problems and solve some of these complex issues in a much more common sense way. So we have some new ideas whenever it comes to thyroid disorders that the public needs to know about, because the thyroid affects 30 million people in America. That's roughly half of the people that have been misdiagnosed, and yet they find out that they have thyroid problems anyway. All they know is that they don't feel themselves. Maybe they're tired all the time. Maybe they wake up and feel like they could go right back to bed, or sometimes patients even blame it on old age. Oh, I'm just getting older. I'm supposed to feel this way. The truth is you don't have to live that way. If your thyroid is involved, we have a really new way of evaluating your thyroid from a global perspective. You know, your thyroid is a global effector. It affects everything. Your thyroid is involved in all metabolic processes, meaning that's how you feel and how much energy you have. Most people with thyroid disorders, they don't even realize what their thyroid hormone does. Your thyroid hormone, TSH is a thyroid hormone. It actually allows your cells to convert carbohydrates, fats, and proteins into energy for your body to run its processes. So without thyroid hormone, nothing works very well. Your whole body starts to malfunction. It's critical to cardiac functions, like people with heart racing or AFib-like symptoms, digestive, sleep, mood, alertness. It's a big cause of people with brain fog and weight gain. So we don't rule out thyroid in our wellness program until we've checked all of the available thyroid markers and proven that they're within not medical ranges, but optimal working limits. So here's what I mean by that. They give you these huge parameters that they still consider as normal. Most labs consider normal TSH levels from 0.3 all the way up to 5.6. That is a huge parameter whenever it comes to someone's TSH markers. That means that if 0.3 is normal, that means if you test 0.31, your thyroid's perfectly healthy and you're normal, and that's not the cause of you feeling bad. But if you test 0.29, all of a sudden you have thyroid disease and you need medication. That'll never make sense to me, and I really don't think it makes much sense to you either. Optimal TSH levels would be more like 1.8 to 3. And if you're outside of that range, there's a chance that you may have subclinical thyroid, even if you've been told your thyroid was not the cause of your health problems. Your TSH might have been 0.31, and somebody looked at that and said, nope, you're good. Thyroid's not causing you to feel bad. Common sense tells us that may not be the case. So we're going to dive into all of this on the show today. We'll talk about all the different parameters to look for in thyroid disorders and what it does and what you should know about. And if you feel sluggish or tired or you have unexplained weight gain, you may very well have subclinical thyroid disorder. So after the break, I'm going to explain to you the ways that your thyroid actually works, what it does, and what you should look for. I'm going to tell you the important numbers that you should actually be checking for whenever it comes to thyroid disorders and how we check those numbers to make sure that they're okay. You're listening to Get Well Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin. We'll be right back.
Contact Bryant Wellness Institute at 837-7174.
Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you for joining us today. Brandon just told me on the break that this is, what was it, Brandon? Show number 18?
Show number 18, yes, sir.
Wow. Now, they can go back and catch the old shows. How do they do that?
All you have to do is go to kpel965.com, and in the search bar, just type in Get Well Acadiana, and it'll bring up all the shows from the very beginning.
Awesome. And we post them on our Facebook page, too, every week at the Bryant Wellness Institute's Facebook page. And I also do a Thursday show there called Dr. Kevin Live and Online. And the neat thing about that is you can ask questions, and it scrolls right up on the screen. The goal for today's show is to try to help some of the 30 million Americans out there suffering with thyroid disorders. And truthfully, guys, it's way more than that. Probably 2 or 3 times that number of people have subclinical thyroid disorder, and they don't even know it. That's 30 million that have fell outside of those huge parameters I talked about before the break. There's way more people than that fall within that parameter and have been told their thyroid is probably not causing their problem, but they still have subclinical thyroid. Now, even of those 30 million, half of those don't realize their thyroid is responsible for how bad they actually feel. Many of you out there listening may not have been feeling yourself because you have subclinical thyroid disorders. Even if you were told your thyroid is fine, you may still have subclinical thyroid problems. Many times we find low energy, brain fog, mood and emotional problems, chronic fatigue, or sleep problems. Now, especially on the sleep problems, the number one thing we see is the person wakes up in the morning and they're still tired even after they've slept, like they feel like they could go right back to bed. We see thyroid problems and heart palpitations and these AFib-like symptoms that everyone's getting. You know, I'm hearing more people with AFib than ever before, and the thyroid can be, in some cases, affected that. You know, the thyroid can affect that in some ways. So many times patients have been to doctor after they've ruled out their thyroid, and they're still searching for a solution to their problem of why they feel bad, but it was actually their thyroid all along. But the thyroid was prematurely ruled out as not being their problem. Your thyroid is so important to everything else. It's critical that you take good care of it and figure out the whole story when something goes wrong. It's not good enough just to look at 10% of the problem, fill that in with a medication, and call it good. The number one question that I get whenever it comes to patients with thyroid problems is they ask, well, wait a minute, my TSH is high. Why do I need thyroid hormone? I thought my thyroid quit working. TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone, and that comes from your pituitary gland. So TSH does exactly what it says. It kicks your thyroid into gear. It's like it pushes your thyroid to work more. So you see, if your thyroid is not working, your pituitary produces more TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, trying to kick your thyroid into gear, but the thyroid is not able to get kicked into gear. So high TSH means low thyroid function. Patients get confused on that all the time. So the more TSH you have in your body, the lower your thyroid function is. But the truth is, there's actually about 12 parameters that we need to check, not just TSH. At the workshop, I'm going to draw out the pathway that your body goes through, all of the reactions that take place before you end up with usable thyroid hormone, which, by the way, is converted in your liver and stomach. So there's many more organs involved, and you can have problems in those organs and nothing wrong with your thyroid and still have thyroid problems. But patients get confused about that TSH all the time. And the second question that I get, and this is something I hear all the time, patients will say, why did my thyroid quit working in the first place? Now, this is the question that we should be asking. This is the question that gets brushed over as, well, we don't know, or sometimes these things just happen, or sometimes this just happens after pregnancy, or sometimes it's just genetic. I don't think that really makes sense to any of you, and I know it doesn't make sense to me. If your organs quit working, that means that something is wrong, and there's something causing it. That would be like me saying, I got a car I'm going to give you, but the brakes on this car, they just stop working sometimes. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. I never know when it's going to be, but just keep driving it anyway. I don't think any of you would be okay with that when it comes to your car. So why would you be okay with that with your body? It's not just normal for your thyroid to quit working all of a sudden one day. This question of why is the question we should be asking. And we keep asking why until we get to the underlying root of the problem. And that's where the real solution lies. We keep asking why, and we find a solution. Why did that happen? We go to the next step. Why did that happen? Until we get to the underlying reason of where all of this is coming from in the first place. And if we can figure out that why it happened, now we can get to figure out how to truly fix it once and for all. Now, we have to find out why these cells have stopped doing what they're doing, and how do we get them to do what we want them to do. So if we can find out the why, now we can ask ourselves, is there anything we can do to positively affect those cells to make them start to work again? And that's a real important question because, guys, cells do things. A skin cell protects, a nerve cell transmits, a muscle cell contracts, a thyroid cell produces. That's all that cell knows to do. A cell is genetically something. And if it's not doing it, that's not a normal thing. And there has to be a reason why. Now, there's several reasons we look at as why the thyroid may have stopped working. So I wanted to just run through a few of them. And there's so many more than I have time to get into today. But there's several reasons why your thyroid may have actually stopped working. One of the things we see are from heavy metals. So your thyroid cells have iodine receptors on them. There is an iodine molecule involved in the building of thyroid hormone. Your body requires an iodine in order to make the connection to build T3. In fact, the 3 in T3 is iodine. So you have these iodine receptors on your thyroid cells that are able to bring iodine inside the cell to be used. Now, sometimes heavy metals can block these receptors, making your thyroid unable to bring iodine into the cell for use and making it unable to function. So heavy metals are things like lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic. And if we can get rid of those heavy metals off of the thyroid receptors, the problem is iodine is weak and these heavy metals are really strong. So they form strong bonds to these iodine receptors in your thyroid cells and can cause them to stop working completely. And if we get rid of these heavy metals, many times the thyroid can sort of start to do what it's supposed to do again. Also, we see chemicals like phthalates and BPA. These are another big reason why your thyroid stops working. These are chemicals that are proven to cause thyroid malfunction because they mimic other hormones in your body. The chemical structure of these chemicals look very similar to the hormone. So your body gets confused and uses these chemicals instead of the hormones. So if we test and find these chemicals and we can detoxify them out of the body, many times your thyroid can kick in and start to do what it's supposed to do again. Also, many times we find a lack of enzymes. Enzymes are what are used to join iodine and tyrosine to make T4. So enzymes also shuttle your T4 to the liver and stomach to be turned into thyroid hormone, which is the usable form of thyroid. T3 is the usable form of thyroid hormone. So most people that we test are really low on enzymes. And we have a massive variety of enzymes that we give the body and so that it can make the enzyme that it needs. So there's about 30,000 different enzymes in your body that your body uses at any given minute, but there's no way I can test you out for those to see which enzyme your body is short of. So you have digestive enzymes, thyroid enzymes. Now, what we do is we have a supplement that's just a massive variety of the building blocks of enzymes. So kind of like if you're going to build a house, you need bricks and mortar in order to build a house. So instead of just trying to do that, we say, here's the building blocks, here's the brick and mortar, build whatever you need. Now, let me real quickly run through the sequencing of events that your thyroid goes through in order to make usable thyroid. And I think this will make more sense. And I don't want you to get confused on this. At the workshop, I'm going to have my charts and graphs where I can actually show you this. It's really hard to explain just on the radio, but bear with me. The main thing I want you to see is I want you to understand how complex it is to actually make usable thyroid hormones. So there's a part of your brain called the hypothalamus that uses thyroid-releasing hormone. That goes to your pituitary to release thyroid-stimulating hormone. And then that goes to your thyroid where tyrosine uses an enzyme called thyroid peroxidase to join tyrosine and 4 iodine molecules. And that makes T4, which is an unusable form of thyroid. Synthroid is T4, by the way. Now, T4 is then shuttled to the liver and stomach where another enzyme called TBG actually turns that T4 into T3. Now, the reason that I went through all of that is I didn't want to confuse you by it, but I just wanted you to understand how complex this system actually is and how many steps are involved. So we have to figure out where along that pathway the body is breaking down. That way we can actually get to an underlying reason why the problem is occurring. Some studies show that iodine levels have declined 50% in our food over the last 30 years. 1/3 of the world's population now lives in iodine deficient areas. And if you block those iodine receptors with heavy metals, it won't matter anyway. But iodine is a group of molecules called halogens, meaning they're in the same family as like bromine, chloride, and fluoride. But iodine is the weakest of those molecules. So when you add up all the chlorine we dump in our water supply, all the fluorine and fluoride we dump in our water system and we put on our toothpaste, bromine we ingest from baked goods like breads and pastas, all of these things bully iodine out of the place. So you can see why iodine shortages is such an important issue. All of these things are blocked, and you can't make thyroid hormone if that happens. Now, remember, T3 is made in the liver and stomach. And if your liver and stomach is so unhealthy that it can't make this conversion to usable thyroid, then your thyroid might be working perfectly, but it's just your liver and stomach are so unhealthy that it can't make that conversion. And guess what? Almost everybody we check has liver and stomach problems. Our livers and stomachs are in terrible shape, and many times this is the actual problem. So what happens? You go on this wild goose chase trying to find out what's wrong with you. You're looking all over the place. You're going to doctor after doctor, and your thyroid numbers look fine, but you're still having subclinical thyroid symptoms. That tells us that probably your liver and stomach is in terrible shape and your body is not able to convert. So my point for all that is I didn't want to get too deep in the weeds with you about all of these numbers and all these T3s and T4s. All of this is very complex. And my point with all of that is that you can't spend 3 minutes looking at this, look at 10% of the system and put you on something for the rest of your life and ignore everything else. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Our thyroid panel by itself is about 12 different markers. And I can tell you exactly where along the assembly line the body is breaking down. And then we can target that one area where the body is malfunctioning and work on that. Now we're getting to some real common sense solutions to fix the underlying problems in the body. So I'm hosting a free community workshop on this where I'll be able to draw all this out and make a lot more sense of it, where we can go into all of the possible solutions and we can figure out exactly what is causing your body to malfunction, why you're fatigued, why you have brain fog, why you can't lose weight. Having a healthy thyroid can help you with all of these things. So many things in the body are affected by thyroid. So even if you're not sure if your thyroid is the underlying cause and you want to find out, you should come to see how this new program works. So the workshop is going to be Thursday night, August the 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. If you want to call and register, we do have limited seating. We can only get one room for this one. So call right away. The number is 837-7174. That's 837-7174. And we're not in the office today. So if you call, obviously you're going to get me on a machine. All you have to do is just leave your name and number on that machine. And when we get back to work Monday, we'll call you and book your spot and talk to you about it, give you a little more information. It's 837-7174. If you're in the New Iberia area and you want to go to the workshop there, their number is 367-2567. When we get back from break, we're going to talk about what actually is happening in the autoimmune, in the immune system to cause autoimmune disorders and how your immune system has decided to attack and kill your thyroid. It's called Hashimoto's disease. And, you know, that's what we actually find is the vast majority of thyroid problems, even if the person's been told it wasn't Hashimoto's or autoimmune. So right after the break, we'll get into all of that. The number is 837 7174. Stay tuned.
Answering your questions every Saturday morning. Get Well Acadiana with Dr.
Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Bryant Wellness Institutes. We have 2 locations. I work at the Broussard Lafayette location, and we also have a location in New Iberia. And today we're discussing some advancements in new ways to look at thyroid disorders, and it's high time that we do that because treatment for thyroid disorders hasn't changed since the days of black and white televisions and cars with no air conditioners. I mean, 1962, we didn't even have the internet or cell phones in 1962. So I hope that I didn't get too deep in the weeds with you on that last segment about all the different steps and all the numbers and T3s and T4s that your body goes through to make thyroid hormone. It's really a tough thing to explain on the radio, but I felt like I needed to make the point that there are many steps that your body has to go through to end up with usable thyroid hormone. And that you could have problems anywhere along that assembly line. And it's not good enough just to check 1/10 of that assembly line, put you on something and say it's normal, your thyroid quit working. That's not good enough. Your organs have stopped working for a reason, and that's something that should concern you. But you know, the vast majority of problems that we see with the thyroid actually deals with an autoimmune problem. Our ability at Bryant Wellness to deal with autoimmune type disorders is really unlike anything else in Louisiana. So many patients that I talk to that have thyroid problems don't even know what it's from. They don't know if it's an autoimmune problem or not, or some other type of problem. Their doctor never checked. All they did was check TSH and put them on Synthroid. The reason that traditional medicine doesn't care what the cause of your thyroid problem is because it's not going to change their treatment at all. It's basically high TSH. Synthroid is the treatment for that. So it's not going to really affect their diagnosis or their treatment plan at all. So they don't really need to know all of the details of it. But in our type of treatment, it's everything. So the TSH might be low for multiple reasons, including your body's own immune system has decided to attack and kill your thyroid. So that's a very important thing to know. In functional medicine, in our type of program, our goal is to find out where along the assembly line the problem is breaking down and target that. Once we find out what step in the process is not working, we can go and check that and go from there and see if we can affect those cells in a positive way. We want to know if there is an iodine shortage, if the iodine receptors are blocked, if there's an enzyme that makes T4 that's being attacked. Is there an enzyme that shuttles it to the liver and stomach that's being attacked? Is the liver and stomach unable to convert to T3? Is the pituitary unhealthy, or is it a combination of all those? And to be honest with you, usually there's a few places in this assembly line that the problem actually occurs. There's usually one or two things. It's not usually, we almost never find just one problem. There's usually a combination of things. But we continually ask ourselves in our program, why are the cells doing what they're doing, and how can we make those cells behave differently? Because you got to understand, like I said in the first segment, a cell's job is to do something. That's all that cell knows. Cells are designed to do things. A muscle cell contracts, a nerve cell transmits, a skin cell protects, a stomach cell produces acid, and a colon cell absorbs. Your body's cellular structure is supposed to do its job. The cell is genetically programmed to perform some kind of a function. And it can't just decide to stop working for no reason. If it's not performing that function, there has to be a reason. So we continually ask ourselves, why are the cells behaving this way? And how can we get the cells to behave differently? Now, in Hashimoto's disease, that means that your body's own immune system has decided to attack and kill the enzymes that make thyroid hormone. Remember, one of them's thyroid peroxidase, which joins tyrosine to 4 iodines. The other one is thyroid binding globulin, which shuttles T4 to the stomach and liver to be converted. In Hashimoto's disease, your immune system has decided that those enzymes should not be there, and it's decided to go attack and kill them. So an autoimmune immune disease means that your body's immune system is killing itself. Your body is literally destroying itself from the inside out, like termites in your house, destroying them inside your walls. Here's the other thing. This is not a thyroid problem. This is an immune system problem. Your thyroid is the victim. It's like in a crime. If somebody comes and mugs you and takes your money, that's not your fault. That's the criminal's fault. In Hashimoto's disease, it's not a thyroid problem. So that's not the thyroid's fault. The thyroid is being attacked. Your thyroid is the victim. So to say that Hashimoto's disease is a thyroid problem is actually not true. Hashimoto's disease is an immune system problem. So if your immune system is attacking and killing your thyroid and your body can't make thyroid hormone, you just supplement it with Synthroid, that hasn't fixed anything at all. Remember earlier I said 50% of the time in autoimmune cases, by the time you know that your immune system is attacking one part of your body, it has already turned and started attacking another part of your body. Once your immune system gets out of control and it starts killing itself, you're in real trouble. Next, it might be your joints and rheumatoid arthritis. It may be your nerves in MS. It might be connective tissue and lupus. But once your immune system gets mad enough that it starts killing itself, that is not the road that you want to go down. So the other solution to autoimmune disease is to give immunosuppressant drugs. Drugs similar to what they give people that had an organ transplant to keep their body from rejecting that organ. So we're going to just suppress the immune system. The immune system's attacking its own body. We're just going to suppress that. But you need your immune system. Your immune system is what keeps you from something like the common cold from killing you. That's why people that take these immunosuppressant drugs have a higher chance of dying from something like the pneumonia or flu. So the way that we tackle problems like this is that we have to find out what's making your immune system so mad that it's decided to kill and kill and kill until it just starts to kill your own body. Now, we have about 6 different things that we look at that can cause your autoimmune system to get so mad that it starts to attack and kill itself. And at the workshop, I'm going to go through each one of these 6 possibilities, and we'll be able to determine which one of these things may be causing your autoimmune problem. But the bottom line is, all of these things that we really look at, we have to look at for the long term. We have to see what can happen down the road that can just, instead of just sort of patching problems up. Now, the thing that we want to look at for this is that in the immune system, if we can find out which one of these 6 things that we look for is causing your immune system to get mad and get rid of it, then we can get to the underlying problem. So the question then becomes, why are the cells doing what they're doing? Are they under attack or are they malfunctioning on their own? And what can we do to resolve the problem? My purpose is to try to help as many people as possible live a better life and do what they enjoy for as long as absolutely possible. That's why I do this show and I get up and I come to work every day. My purpose in life, my mission is to show people that there has to be a better way. And how are you going to look in your future? Are you going to be the 70-year-old that's playing golf and gardening and doing whatever you want? Or are you going to be the 70-year-old that's in a nursing facility or needs constant care? Which pathway are you going to go down? Now, my workshop is going to be August the 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. That phone number to register is 837-7174. That's 837-7174. This is Get Well Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin. We'll be right back.
More information from Dr. Kevin at BryantWellnessInstitutes.com.
Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. You know, before we get started, I was thinking about something on the break. I was advertising my workshop that I'm going to be doing on August the 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. If for whatever reason you can't make that, and you would rather me send you a little short video of me explaining how this program works, you can message me on Facebook at the Bryant Wellness Institutes, and I'll send you the link for the video explaining our functional medicine program and how it works. It's a great video. I think that you'll get a lot out of it. But at the workshop, I'll be able to sit down and draw out every step along the thyroid pathway, and we'll actually determine right there where you may be having problems and what may be going on with you. So I hope you've enjoyed the show today. But more importantly than that, I hope you've understood how important it is to do everything you can to solve your health problems once and for all. I hope I've been able to encourage all of you to do things that are going to allow you to be healthy and functional for years in the future. We touched on a few points today on thyroid and how important that is in the functioning of almost your entire body. Your thyroid is what turns the food that you eat into energy. That's what your thyroid does. Most people don't really even understand how important or what the thyroid does in your body. Did you know that every single cell in your body has thyroid receptors? Every cell. Thyroid hormone is how your body makes energy. Just like your car converts gasoline into energy, your cells convert thyroid hormone into energy, and it uses the food that you eat in order to do that. Now, that's why it affects so many different things in the body in such profound ways. Fatigue, brain fog, sleep problems. So you can understand why this is so much more than just, well, my thyroid quit working and I take this Synthroid and I guess everything's fine. I still don't feel great. At Thursday night's workshop, I'm going to go through each step of the process and show you things to look for to figure out where along the assembly line your body is breaking down. So if there's an assembly line that your body goes through to make thyroid hormone, like an assembly line to make a car. So if one person puts the wheel on, one person puts the door on, and another person puts the headlights in, and every time a car comes out, the door is messed up, you're going to know who's doing that. You're going to know who the problem is, and you can go and fix that guy. You got to go fix the door guy. And so the thyroid is exactly the same way. If we can figure out where along the assembly line the body is breaking down, then we can begin to ask ourselves the question, what can we do to positively affect that particular step? And the truth is, there's lots of things we can do to affect every step along the assembly line so that you end up with the right amount, the optimal level of thyroid hormone, so that you can feel yourself again and that you can actually have energy and wake up refreshed and digest your food properly and have a clear brain and not have brain fog. So the workshop is going to be Thursday, August the 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. That phone number to register is 837-7174. All you have to do is leave your name and number on my machine, and when I get back Monday, we'll call and book your spot and tell you a little more about it. It's going to be August the 3rd, 7 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. So the number is 837-7174. And if you want to go to the one in New Iberia, their number is 367-2567. That's 367-2567. And if you want to see my video explaining how our functional medicine program works, get on our Facebook page at the Bryant Wellness Institutes and send me a message that you want me to send you a link to the video, and it will sort of explain exactly how all of this fits into your health problems. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'll see you next week.
Like Dr. Kevin on Facebook by searching Bryant Wellness Institute. Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.